Resident Evil 4 Remake is a masterpiece and one of the greatest, if not the greatest remakes of all time. I was legit blown away by how incredible it was and look forward to the next installation from Capcom, whatever direction they decide to go in. In its first DLC, Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways, we see the flip side of the coin to Leon Kennedy's battle against Sadler and his minions as it fills in the gaps as to what Ada was secretly doing behind the scenes. While Leon was going hard to save the president's daughter, Ashley, Ada was on the island slinking around like a cat in the night, pulling strings, causing mayhem of her own. Seeing Leon and Ada intersect multiple times, with Ada ultimately having a direct hand in Leon's success, is the icing on the cake, and it made for one hell of a ride. As it turns out, Ada is on the payroll of none other than the notorious Albert Wesker in order to track down and extract a bioweapon known as the Amber. Throughout the campaign, you're able to see Ada struggle with her directives and slowly doubt her duties, especially as she comes to the aid of Leon more and more. If you played through the original, then you already know how it comes to an end, but the nuance of her decision making and ability to control so much of the outcome is a great showcase and welcome addition. Ada quickly encounters the Black Robe and ends up infected herself, and after the initial clash is stalked through the campaign relentlessly. This throws a monkey wrench in her plans as she now has to contend with two objectives over just the one as the plot thickens. Ada is a stoic, remorseless protagonist who puts business before pleasure and will stop at nothing to execute her objective. She is every bit as calculated as she is cunning, and playing as her was an interesting change of pace when taking on the horrors of Resident Evil. I'd be surprised if her BPM ever broke 100, as she can remain calm and collected regardless of the odds she faces. A familiar face in Luis Serra makes a return as well. He's definitely one of my favorite characters in any of the RE remakes, as his lighthearted can-do attitude is infectious and a light in the darkness considering the situation. The smooth-talking Brainiac is a great addition and polar opposite to Ada, so they really do balance out each other quite well. You communicate via radio to stay on the same page and exchange info, and there are even brief moments where you work together directly in a similar fashion to Leon and Ashley. Luis is Ada's ticket to the Amber after all, so he is on her priority list of protection and support. Wesker surprisingly makes more appearances than I had expected, and is the egomaniac control freak we come to know and love, or despise depending on what you like. He really is like an old school comic villain here, with lines that read like a bad guy how-to handbook.
An asset, not a liability. I have absolutely no use for your incompetence.
But it is great nonetheless. The legendary merchant is here too, as he makes a remark about his other customer and even mentions keeping some gear hidden away from the eyes of Leon.
I reserve some items just for you. My other customer doesn't know about these.
Every interaction with him is a joy, and that purple brazier is always a beautiful sight, as is as close to home as you can get. Of course, Leon, Sadler, and a few others appear and interact with Ada briefly, but the core cast is simple and it's really all that's needed. You will revisit a majority of the familiar areas as in the main campaign, often coming from a different direction or at a different level of height due to your ability to go vertical. It's really cool seeing areas that Leon has undoubtedly already been through or is going through in real time as you overlap so many different ways. Castles, labs, villages, compounds are all there waiting to be explored and conquered. There are moments in the lab as well that had me legit fearing what would be in the next room as a familiar and terrifying enemy reappears once again from Leon's playthrough, and it's no less scary as shit. I was quickly reminded of the horror element of RE, as the action can sometimes become such a big part of the gameplay. I mean, here there are multiple creepy hallways and dimly lit rooms, and it keeps you grounded, not forgetting what world you're actually in. Ada, though, is an absolute powerhouse and has moves that would make any RE protagonist jealous, the biggest addition being her grappling gun. She zips around the play area doing her best Spider-Man impersonation, making short work of any traversal. What Leon takes hours to do, Ada just does in minutes, really. Her mobility makes for some really fun and creative moments, and sometimes simply traversing to get to the next area is one of the things you'll do, while the other is using it as an offensive or defensive mechanism. You have the ability to execute melee attacks from a distance and even snatch shields from their bearers, leaving them exposed for follow-up damage. Weapons are familiar and you get access to pistols, SMGs, shotguns, crossbows, grenades, sniper rifles, and of course much more. Stealth is way more prominent this go around as the environments are built for it more than in the mainline story. Boxes and walls are conveniently designed in a way to funnel enemies into death traps, although it does take some of the creative problem solving away due to the convenience of it. Although you'll have an opportunity for tons of knife takedowns, you can go full auto whenever the hell you feel like it, like, you know, do what you do. When you do bite the dust though, the death scenes are glorious and the brutality of what you face is showcased in the best ways. I did have a great time playing Separate Ways. It definitely ties up any loose ends and does an impressive job leaving the story all on the table. Ada is a capable character who, while dry, makes up for it in her ability to control so many elements from the shadows, while ultimately giving a look into the mind of a character with ulterior motives. For $10, this is totally worth your time and money. If you already played RE4, then of course it's a no-brainer. And if you haven't played RE4 Remake, then go play it, get this DLC with it. It's going to be a treat to be able to play both one after the other, as that is the best way I think it is to consume this content. Leave any takes you have on RE4 the DLC below, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's close.